Everybody, I am thrilled to have Diane Sawyer here with me today, the president of the Reidsville Chamber. We're going to have a great conversation, and I certainly appreciate your time and supporting
Absolutely.
this sole purpose fundraiser. But we got to start with a selfie.
Okay.
There you go. I've told everybody this is testing every skill I've got because I am not left-handed and I'm walking and talking. Holy smoke. All right. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Do you have an update? Oh, I thought Flavel had an update to the amount we've raised. I got all excited. That's okay. It's all right. So let's talk a little bit about Reidsville.
Okay.
All right. What makes Reidsville, the business community, so special?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I know we could talk all day. We'll be here.
We could. I think one of my favorite things that makes Reidsville special, I cannot believe it, but I have been the chamber president now for 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've seen a lot of different things. But I would personally like to think that the grassroots marketing effort several years ago by previous administration, they brought in a marketing consult, and at the end of the day, they interviewed all these people around Reidsville, people with different backgrounds, and they came back and they said, what's the one thing that everybody talks about? And they were like, football. And
Okay.
so out of that came, we don't want to talk just about Reidsville and Reidsville High School and the football team, but what we do want to talk about is the excitement and the passion and the pride. And so from that, we were able to have the Team Reidsville brand.
I love it.
And I remember asking when they first rolled it out, who owns this?
Right.
Can I use this logo?
Right.
Are we really embracing this? And they were like, absolutely. And so it started. And now if you're a part of Reidsville, if you're a citizen, if you're a business, if you're a part of the chamber of the city, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all in it together, right? We're all a part of Team Reidsville. We all bring a piece to the table. And I just think it's a really unique way of looking at the community and how we work together.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking with Summer Moore earlier and loved all the teamwork with all of your departments in Reidsville.
Yep.
I told her I live in Eden, so I'm completely jealous of all the photo ops and everything that happens around Market Square. I love it. I just think, but that is another piece, right? That just makes Reidsville fun and unique.
When Summer came in, she took that and ran with it. And so those were her brainchild ideas of the making it look and feel special.
Yes.
It's honestly, that has just been one of the best things. I mean, people message us all the time. We get compliments, and I'm like, no, that was the city. That was Miss Summer and her team. But, people say all the time, oh, we love coming to take pictures. And, we just love walking through town and seeing the decorations. So it's a really cool thing.
That is very cool. So, tell me a little bit about how the Chamber supports organizations like Ancora Compassionate Care.
I'd love to. I think a lot of times people don't realize that the Chamber is a membership organization, but that we're a nonprofit and that we're a C6. And so sort of by default, we raise our own budget and we raise our own operating expenses and all the program dollars that we put back in. So I think one of the ways that we support our nonprofit organizations is that we're a nonprofit ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so we understand, I think, the premise. So just like today, I mean, when Flavel reached out, I absolutely wanted to make it happen. I know that today was a tough day for the chambers because today is our Leadership Rockingham program. Right. And so I was like, I'm going to step away from that so that I can represent all of us. And I'm really thankful to that team and Jim and Mavis for us to be able to work together. And I think that's one of the ways that we can be so supportive is by telling your story and telling the stories of your organization. Some of it's small things like ceremonial, the ribbon cuttings and things we've had throughout the years. when you change your name,
Yeah.
when we dedicate things, we can bring attention to it. I know for me, having, like, Flavel's such a great person to partner with because she always makes sure that I'm in the know.
Right.
She always makes sure that your message and your brainchild, and she'll give you the credit for it, but she makes sure that I know what's happening,
Right.
so that I can tell that story and that I can spread the word. And so it's been so, you know, for me, having a degree in public health education and coming from that background of nonprofit work, it's been so rewarding to help multiple nonprofits in my own home community. That's what drove me back from my job in Martinsville. And so, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest ways. Some of the other ways, I think, are when we just come together, you know, the team Reidsville together during COVID was one of the really big things. You know, we were having those Friday like the huddles. We used the team thing and we had the huddles. But to be able to talk to people about what were they, like a medical nonprofit, and what was going on with like care or cleaning supplies. Like people couldn't get their cleaning supplies. Yeah. How can we help? And so, you know, everything that was thrown at us through the government, we were just, as soon as we could get it, we were rolling it out, and constantly. So that Team Reidsville Together program helped the businesses and the retailers and that sort of thing, but it helped the money, keep the money flowing in the community so that our nonprofits could get what they had, because that was a hard time for people who raise funds. Like, people didn't have the ability to do, so it's just, it was kind of crazy how all of that worked together. But, you know, being I laugh, like, I'm old enough to remember 411 and old enough to remember, you know, needing to pick up the phone to call for information. And I mean, we are the real life 411. I mean, we are the community hub, and we're the piece that, I mean, another thing, like, I know Flav knows she can text me anytime or call me anytime, but you guys are looking for a vendor. You're looking for you have this great idea to do this fundraiser. Like, where were you going to host it? You know? And so I'm super incredibly thankful that we have places like our partnership with the community college. I've been watching all day. So I saw Dr. Cox and I saw Summer, and I actually have a child here at the early college, literally in PE right now. Had no idea when we planned it that way. I love She's at her PE class and like grabbed me as I was coming through the gym to say hello. And so,
oh my gosh,
I'm super thankful of our foundation here at the college and how they support. And I saw United Way. I was listening to all those things. And so we're kind of in the center of that hub. And so I think that's another way that we are able to support, connect, make people, you know, aware of the things that are happening. So,
well, and it's a beautiful way, just listening to all of that and how it all weaves together. It is a beautiful way that we truly all are serving this community together.
Absolutely.
Even when in small ways, when you don't really realize it, but we really are. It takes all of it. This is not an individual sport, right? We have to serve this community together. You talked about the ribbon cutting, and I have to tell you, when I think of the Reidsville Chamber, there's so many wonderful things that you all do, but looking at it specifically from an Ancora viewpoint, those things were huge in our history, the rebranding, going from Hospice Rockingham County to Ancora Compassionate Care, and you all were there for that ribbon cutting. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Help live stream that for us, all of that. When we opened up our East Campus, which is still taking me some getting used to go, what? You know, that we've got 2 different campuses. But there, the Robin's Nest, our counseling center, serious illness care, that was huge, and you all were there.
Well, yeah, because we're there to celebrate.
Yes, it was a huge celebration.
Help spread the word.
Yeah.
And you know, when I first came, I struggled with the word cheerleader. I would hear people refer to the chamber as a cheerleader, and I'm like, but we're so much more. But you know, it's funny. And now my daughter's a cheerleader, and that I did not see that coming, because she played travel softball for so many years, and she still plays softball, but she decided she wanted to be a cheerleader.
Gotta make a switch.
And it's so funny because I have really come to embrace that cheerleaders don't get enough credit for what they do, that it is an incredibly powerful sport for females, they work out in the
Sure.
gym just like this. They have to be incredibly strong to do their stunts and to do their lifts and those kinds of things. And so it's funny because I had sort of come along with the chamber and realizing, hey, that's okay. I don't mind that name or that title and that role, because it means we're an incredibly strong piece of the community
Right.
that can help our folks.
That's a beautiful way to look at it, and that reframing as far as cheerleader goes. But
Just like you reframe people, you reframe my way of thinking too, just so you know. And I try to educate people. So I loved hearing you talk about that today several times, because it's important for people to understand what Ancora is and does, and that they don't think about it as just all end of life and all, oh, that's so sad, or it takes a special person. Like, so I've kind of retrained, and I pass that on. Like, that's how we support.
That's the greatest marketing we can have, Diane. So I cannot thank you enough. So being that cheerleader, but not just celebrating the big things, right? But you helping us pass that along, helping us to try to chip away at some of the misconceptions about what Ancora does, helps the whole community.
Yeah, for sure.
People can't make informed decisions if they don't have all of the correct information. Right.
And it's funny because I love hearing about, at the last coffee, we're announcing about, being number 3 in the country. Like, that's a huge deal. And it's funny because it does drive your care. It does drive the level of care. If your employees are happy and they feel appreciated and supported and able to do their jobs, and we learned that really well from Mickey Foster and Annie Penn Hospital, and we talked a lot about that. And my mom was at Annie Penn for over 30 years. She loved Mickey, and it's funny because you don't think about it, but culture matters, and there's so many pieces that. And I've lived through some things too where it wasn't such a great thing. And I've, on the other side of it, there were life learning lessons. But you don't want to be in that down cycle for long, right? So being able to provide the best care and be the best local hospice and then Ancora compassionate care that you can be for your employees means that you are for the community as well. And it's just amazing.
It definitely goes hand in hand.
What you guys do, it blows my mind, and what you're able to do with the money that you raise, it's really all inspiring to me.
Well, I have to tell you a little rabbit trail, but now I got to tell you a funny Mickey Foster story.
Oh, well, let's do it.
Because I did love Mickey when he was here. He actually was on our board for a while. He was on
ours too, so I got that experience.
My gosh, that whole experience, and he taught me so much in the short time that he was there. But the first time, he had been gone from this area for a while. And so we have made that best places to work list 4 years in a row. Very first year we made it, we were still hospice in Rockingham County. And we landed at number 10, first time out of the gate. Well, my phone rings about a week after that. It was Mickey. First of all, here's the funniest part. Lynn, this is Mickey Foster. I don't know if you remember me. What? I mean, how can you not? I'm pretty sure I can remember you. He said, Lynn, I'm sitting here in my office. I said, yeah. He said, and I got the latest publication from Modern Healthcare. He said, and they've got best places to work in healthcare in the country. I thought, well, I'm just going to look at this list. He said, and out loud by myself, I said, Hospice of Rockingham County, I know these people. It was funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's awesome.
And of course, then
such a great guy.
He quickly followed that up with, do you understand what you have done? Of course, and at the time, I was like, I'm trying to process it, but probably not. But, we have since learned that so proud to be on it, but it's harder to stay on it.
Oh, gosh.
Hard to get on it, but then hard to stay on it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for this county to hear that, how well we take care of our employees.
It matters.
It absolutely does. And the work that we do is hard, but it's like we've said several times today, we've got our own lives too. So it's not, you got to support and we've got to take care. And the way I view that, honestly, you look at hospice care, it's holistic care, we take care of the whole person. You got to do that for your employees too, so they can go do it.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty tremendous. So I don't know that I necessarily prepped you for this, but if you're comfortable, do you have a personal hospice story?
Well, you know I do. You know I do. I actually have a couple. I have, at top of mind, at least 3.
Okay.
So I guess we can start with, because I was just talking about this the other day. My first experience, and I'm gonna try not to get
You're fine.
too emotional.
Yeah.
My first experience was in 1998.
Wow.
And I was a senior in high school, and my parents had just separated. And there are things about my senior year shaped me who I am today. My parents were teenage parents, and so I watched my parents fight to be, to be better, to make things happen. So rabbit trail, down the rabbit trail. Both my parents, so my dad's dad, my mom's dad was juvenile diabetic, type 1 diabetic, and he died when she was 10 years old.
Wow.
My dad's dad had a massive heart attack when he was 14 years old. So you have 2 teenagers who don't have fathers,
Sure.
who one fell into alcoholism and some other things, and then one fell into trying to provide for her family and work in swing shifts. So 2 unsupervised children, and here you have. So they spent quite a bit of their early life trying to, so my mom came to RCC, so full circle.
There you go.
She came to RCC, she got her nursing degree, she got the Annie Penn Scholarship, worked as a CNA, came back, and ended up with her bridging her BSN. So like I got to see that whole thing
cool.
happen. And my dad was always a hard worker. He also came back to RCC and got a degree. He's a class short of a second degree. We've been talking about he needs to finish that. And director of operations and getting ready to retire, but in West Window in Martinsville.
Wow.
And so I got to see all of that. But in the middle of that was starting to happen in middle to high school. Mom didn't even pass, her boards and all the things until 7th grade for me. So I was, I got to watch those things. And my grandmother, she ended up coming to live with us, and I was driving. Well, during the summer, I started driving her to her doctor's appointments at Annie Penn. Had no idea. No one in my family did either, because my parents would get up and go to work. My mom worked third, so she was sleeping during the day, but I would take her, and it was my dad's mom, and I would take her to these appointments. And we found out at the end of the summer that my parents were splitting up, which means I was moving out of the house that she was living in. But then also when we got back from our final beach trip, that's when everything started unraveling. We found out that she had cancer, and she had kept it from everybody. And so by then it was breast, it was lung and breast, and then bone.
Wow.
And so she went to live with my great aunt, and which is where they were able to keep her at home, and they were able to have hospice come in. And so my first experience was to see her dying respectfully, comfortably, like as a 17-year-old, not really understanding all the things that were happening and who the people were and what it meant. I just knew there was a nurse that came in, and once all the boys were together, she passed away peacefully, and that was that. Yeah. Well, that was my grandma Ramey. So that leads to something later down the road. In the meantime, got married. I was moving away, and I met my husband, who's from Bethany. And so then here we are. We're still in Rockingham County. And my oldest was a year old, and my mother-in-law's father started having issues because, these older folks are stubborn, and they don't want to go and have anything checked out. And so he ended up at Annie Penn, throwing up blood, doing some things. Gosh. And so I think they gave him, it was very few weeks, but in 6 weeks he was gone. And so again, took him home from the hospital, brought in the hospital bed, the nurses, it was still hospice then, were coming in. And then it got to the point where he came to the house.
Gotcha.
And we were just talking about this 2 days ago because my mother-in-law, actually yesterday, my mother-in-law was at my house and she brought it up and she started crying because your folks allowed and encouraged. So my husband was the grandson that was there and he stayed. And like everybody else left. And he refused to leave him until the funeral home could come. And so I remember being on the phone with him and him talking to me and him holding his hand and like he refused to leave him. And so your people, like your staff, like everybody was so kind to him and just like, you know, again, encouraged him to do whatever he felt like was, you know, right. So and he did, and it's still one of the things that makes my mother-in-law so happy and so proud that, you know, her son wouldn't leave her dad. And so that was one of my others. And then which brings me to my third. So a lot of people know my maiden name is a little bit of a household name here lately. So Jason, Ramey, and I, we are first cousins, and we shared the grandmother who I was speaking of earlier. But also his mother, who was anybody who's from Eden and really further than that knew his mom. My Aunt Debbie was the owner of the Circle Drive-In. She managed at one time the Circle Drive-In and the Circle Mart when they were connected. But if you knew her more likely from her time at the Boys and Girls Club. And the fact that she was an amazing mom and volunteer and just giver. She was that mom, you know, she had 5 kids of her own. She took in kids, she took care of kids, she took care of all her kids' friends and all her nieces and nephews. But then all the kids at the Boys and Girls Club, like it didn't matter. And, you know, she would feed people and she would give and she would work tirelessly.
Wow.
And it was really sad, but, you know, she had cancer. And again, we found ourselves visiting the hospice home.
Wow.
And, you know, her, it was really sad to watch another loss in that family. And for Jason, you know, his mom was the one who believed in him.
Right.
She was the one who gave him his Bible that he still carries. She's the one who kept encouraging him and making sure that he stayed on a good path and that he did the things he wanted to do when it came to going to school. And, you know, she shaped so much of who he is, and this community has benefited so much from who he is. Right. And what he does. I don't think I've ever met anybody with a moral compass any straighter than his. And so losing her was really terrible from a community perspective. But again, you guys were able to come in and still, I mean, the things that happen afterwards. Right. You know, being able to honor, being able to remember. I can't tell you how many times, like, that my mom did things to honor, you know, different folks in our families, or, you know, we've purchased bricks, or we've done, you know, we've done lots of things. And to be able to put your loved one's name on something, or to see it in writing, or to see it permanently, a lot of times helps the heart heal. Absolutely. And helps. So the services and the things that you all offer that goes so beyond that time of death. Right. For the family that's still here, you know, it's just so important. So personally, and those are 3 of like my closest relatives. That doesn't even start to touch chamber members. Like when I had been at the chamber long enough that I started going to funeral after funeral, I thought, my goodness, like I'm getting much older, because we have had some, you know, some of those people. We have an auctioneer. I loved Harry, then John too. Like, you know, there were so many people, like they'd come through the doors and you would see them and you would hug them and you know all about their life. I have met so many people that they didn't know who I was and I didn't know who they were, but somehow they were, their son went to school with my husband and something, you know. And so it's kind of been like a full circle moment too for me to realize like how fragile life can be.
Right.
And then, but also like how important it is for us to make the most of every single day.
Yes.
So the fact that you all rebranded and changed your name, and, you know, it was such good timing for me personally because, you know, I was experiencing so many of those things that weren't those moments that you don't want people to think of you only as.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I am so grateful for the trust your family has had and in our organization. And we never take that lightly. It is actually extremely humbling to me that people allow us to come into their lives at such a personal time to literally care for and support somebody that they love. That's what we're here to do. And I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to serve. And I'm just grateful for all the ways that you guys support us, support all the businesses, and really think about how we are all weaved together, serving this community together.
We are. And, you know, it's funny, the story about my husband's grandfather, like, they were our babysitters. And my daughter was a year old, so I had just gotten hired at the chamber in July, and this was March of the following year, and suddenly I didn't have a babysitter for the 6 weeks that he was sick, and then for 6 to 7 more weeks of her grieving. So, and there are people who now are super important in our world that when I put it on Facebook stepped up. My mom helped, but a lot of people know probably that Autumn Hollifield has taken pictures of my family since my child was born, but she also during that time was the person who stepped up and said, I've got 2 small kids at home. I can do 2 days a week.
Wow.
And so she helped me through that 13 weeks that I didn't. So, I mean, there are things that you look back and you're right. Like, it's all interwoven. It's all full circle.
Absolutely.
And now I look at her and I look at her kids she's got a senior and she's got another one in high school and they're doing all these things. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and so.
Life happens fast.
It does. And then she's got this great and powerful business that she took from the ground up and then broke it back down and then built it back up again. And so I just think about like how we all, like for me, when I think about Ancora, I think about the chamber, I think about other, like, it's the connections, like again and again and again. It's the relationships, the connections,
and the support of each other. There we go.
And the love that we all have for the community, for our organizations, for the work we do, and for each other.
100%. That's the greatest way for us to end our time. You just summed it up beautifully. Actually, I'm going to ask a random question because I think we've got a connection that maybe we don't realize. Do you know a Trent McGee who is Greenville, North Carolina's chamber president?
I do.
He's my cousin.
I did not know that.
So we'll end there.
Okay, well, there you go. Small world.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It is definitely a pleasure and an honor to be asked.
Well, thank you.